Do you know the hottest method for collecting customer reviews in 2020, or how rain can impact your conversion rate? By knowing things like this, you can bootstrap a company from 0 to 10 million in less than 10 years. Callum McKeefery, the co-founder and CEO of Reviewsio, shared with me how they started the company from their kitchen table with his co-founder and wife, Nikki. Here is how they did it with zero VC funding.
Welcome to The Product Show. 20-minute interviews with founders and product makers sharing how they hacked early growth.
I started Reviewsio in 2000, where the idea came in really 2011, 2012. And me and my wife started the company literally from our kitchen table in Leicester. My wife is from California and she moved over to the UK, and I'd done a couple of different startups previously, and we sat there and thought about what we were going to do next and where we were going to go. And one of my businesses that I'd done previously was not directly involved in the review space, but it was a part of the business that I really enjoyed. And I thought there was a huge opportunity there to actually launch a product which was a bit more friendly than some of the other products that were out in the market, a bit more feature filled and a bit more friendly in how they dealt with their client base. So we launched 2013, and we've been going ever since, and we're fully bootstrapped. We're now at, we're approaching 10 million in revenue, and we employ just over 68 people. I think it's 69 today because we just employed a new guy in Germany.
You have built this powerful engine for generating product reviews, but what was the first feature, the first vertical you started with?
So our first vertical has pretty much been e-commerce companies. So we don't go for the really big e-commerce companies. We started really targeting the small and medium-sized e-commerce companies very early on, and that was kind of our big vertical. And we got a bit of traction within the car part companies, insurance companies, and flower companies that all traded online. And kind of we won one client, and then we bounced into another one, and so forth. So probably the first vertical was really e-commerce, but if we narrowed that down, really the one that we did quite well in early was flower delivery companies, and then we bounced into insurance. I know they're not really related, but we kind of won a big insurance client, and that led us into several insurance companies.
Oh, that's interesting. Flowers. What was your go-to-market strategy when you started, or did you have any?
So when we really started, we went to our first expo. It was in the NEC in Birmingham, and we had a stand there. And we really didn't know. We just put our products out. We just set our stand out. We said, we've got this great review solution. Who wants to use it? Who really? Let's talk. Just talk to people. Those early days is really all about talking to as many potential customers as possible and just getting feedback. And then we had one large flower retailer come to us and say, you know what, we really like what you're doing. Can we work with you? So yeah, we started working with those guys, and then we kind of reached out to some of the other flower companies, or they seen what we were doing in the marketplace with those their competitors, and they were like, that's amazing. We need to work with these guys. So kind of we went in, and then we spread. And that strategy really worked for us. I found the more conversations we had in those early days, the more success we had. So it was really just about getting all our staff really talking to people in the marketplace. That was whether it was at an expo, whether it was just via a call, a warm intro, whether it was just chatting on LinkedIn. And it really, really, the more conversations, and I'm a big advocate of that, and even now, the more conversations we have, the more successful we are. And it helps us to get closer to our client. And I'm a firm believer in that if you're a service provider like ourselves, if you're building a product, the closer you can get to your client, it is the better. The company that's closest always wins. because you can hear what innovations your client is expecting from you and what problems they have, and you can really have a closer understanding about how you can build your roadmap. So in the early days, we really didn't have a roadmap. We really built it based off our clients' feedback.
So it was literally going door to door, email by email, asking people to test your product.
Yeah, really the old-fashioned way. It was quite, I'm sure, quite painful. Being bootstrapped, we didn't really have this huge marketing budget which we could go out with and just go, oh, we're here, and people would come to us. We really had to do it the old-fashioned way, which was get one client, delight that one client, really build the product around them, and then hope that client has spread the word, and we bounce into another client who they knew, and really grow from word of mouth instead of a huge marketing budget. And actually, that's probably been the best thing that's ever happened to us, not rushing in and developing the solution in the wrong way. And by being focused on our revenue and being focused on our customer, we've managed to build a product that is actually really a perfect fit for our target audience, which is online retailers, really.
Okay, and what was the main pain point that your product was solving in the beginning? Was it this collection of reviews?
So yeah, collection was
them, or what was
collection was a big thing. Trust, really, what we were trying to do originally was compete with, let our clients compete with bigger retailers, and everybody trusted Amazon, everybody was trusting eBay, and they weren't really trusting these smaller online retailers. And really what we were trying to do is collect as many pieces of feedback as possible from these e-commerce retailers, customers, so that then we could display them on site, build trust, and increase their revenue. And that was really the biggest pain point. It is collecting enough reviews, having a high enough conversion. So we do a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we hit inboxes, we hit, when now people are sending SMS to collect reviews as well. So we make sure that our timing is perfect. So in each case, we look at what our clients' customers' happy point is when are they most happy? Is it when they've just got delivery? Is it a couple of days after when they've used the product? When is their happy point? And then we'll make sure that we ask the review request at that point, because that'll give up the highest conversion. We've gone even as far as looking at weather patterns and things like that to some crazy ideas to actually see where conversion goes on days in the UK. When it was raining, we'd get higher conversion, and then when there was a big sporting event, we'd see a dip. So we'd kind of hold back the review collection request. And it was all this technology to make sure that our clients had the highest possible conversion. And that was the biggest pain point. Getting the reviews originally was the highest first pain point. The second pain point was then publishing these reviews on people's site so potential customers trusted them.
What is the most popular metric for reviews performance that your clients love tracking?
I mean, the most popular metric is literally volume. It's really the amount of reviews. So we've got one client which is heading towards 500,000 reviews now, which is Sports Direct, which is the massive online retailer. In my opinion, that's probably the wrong metric now. I'm really passionate about focusing on quality of review. So whether it's got an image, whether it's got a video, and looking at these other metrics now and saying, look, having just thousands and thousands of reviews is not really any longer a key metric. Really, the metric you should be focusing on is the quality of the review coming in and what impact that review actually has on your sales. So if it's a product review and it's got a video and it's got an image and that person is an influencer, that's a really, really good quality review from a brand advocate. So the metric has evolved for us internally. Now it's all about quality, not about quantity.
And in terms of review collection method, which is the most popular one? I can see your social proof feature is definitely taking off.
Yeah. So Social Proof, we launched Social Proof towards the back end of last year. I've never seen a product take off like our Social Proof feature. It was amazing. The adoption from our customer base was amazing. They could turn now these quite boring looking text reviews into something really interesting that they could then post onto Instagram. They could then post onto Facebook or LinkedIn. And then we thought harder about that. And then that was what brought us to video reviews. Now, customers, yeah, I mean, 1 in 10 leaves a photo, 1 in 50 now leaves a video. We're doing things to really increase the adoption of video reviews, and I do see that as the future of our business. It will be video. We want to be a video first company, and we think that's really important. Verbatim text will always be there, and that's brilliant because we can analyze that. We can do some really clever AI, and we can give our clients back metrics on how they can improve. But for me, video is the future, and that's the way we're moving, is this rich media, because you can't fake video as easy. It really can't be faked as easily as a text review. Now, for us, we have a full R&D team on looking at fake reviews, and we're really good at spotting them and removing them. But even so, for the industry as a whole, I think video reviews is going to change the trust in reviews. So when you see somebody passionately talking about, some shoes that they bought for their child, and their child's playing in them, you're actually trusting it a lot more. That's increasing sales. So we've noticed that clients of ours who publish video reviews on their site or on Instagram and so forth, they're really seeing a real big uptake in conversion to sale.
You have built quite a rich product in terms of features and functionalities. Do you have a specific process or framework that you follow for identifying what to build next, or do you rely mainly on your gut instinct?
Yeah, no, we did used to rely on our gut instinct, but we have quite a solid roadmap system. So we have a build for one, give to all solution, and that's kind of unique. So if we work with a retailer and they want something a bit special, we will build it, but then we'll give it to all of our client base as a free upgrade. And that's really helped us build our roadmap, because if we think it's worth building for this one client, it's worth building for all of our clients. And it's speeded up our development time. It means we can really work closely with this one client, but actually when we integrate it and we get it live on our site, it actually benefits everyone. So we do this build for one, give to all solution. And I think it's quite unique in its way. We've just done
like a service.
Yeah. So we're trying, like I said at the start, we really, I've always had this, been quite passionate that the closer you are to the customer, the more successful you are. So, and I think if more, services, software businesses did that, then they'd be a lot more successful.
What's the structure of your team? How quickly can you ship features?
We are super fast. We are really, really fast. So all of our developers are based in the UK in Leicester. We then have, regional teams in different countries. So we have Berlin, LA, Sydney, as well. And those teams are really, marketing, customer service and sales. But all development comes back in to the UK, into our Leicester head office. And we develop everything here. As a business, we've always designed our business to be very developer heavy and very sales light. So our product really should sell itself. If the product is great, it should sell itself. And you shouldn't need 200, 300 salespeople selling it and cold calling and doing all of these things. A really good tech product should sell itself. So we've always been heavy on having a real big tech and development team, an R&D team, which can develop products and get them out the door faster, instead of focusing on a real big sales machine, which will sell a product, but maybe won't delight the customer. So we've always been focused on having a less aggressive sales team.
Do you run any growth experiments internally, and
Yeah.
would you share some interesting findings?
So we do a lot of different, we have specialists within our team that do different areas. So we have like security experts, then we have front end and back end, and then the marketing team. And then we have a growth team. One of the teams I've been working a lot with is the security team recently. So we're looking at we've been looking at how we can pen test ourselves. So we can do different methods of security testing on ourselves. And that team's also been looking at interesting methods of fraud detection. So in the review space, fraud is massive. It's not massive actually, but it's a big talking point. It's a massive talking point. The newspapers, the press love talking about review fraud. So we've been working with our R&D teams to make better fraud detection. And some of the ones that we're working on are super clever. We're looking at keystroke biometrics, because actually everybody types differently on every different keyboard. And so I can call myself somebody else and switch my IP, but if I'm still typing, we now can still spot that you're not that person because you've wrote another review. And it's getting quite clever. That space really interests me, and we're able to, make quick iterations on that. The security and the fraud team is really exciting.
I can see from your website that you have invested quite a lot in the UX of your product, which is great. I'm curious, have you ever done a UX improvement or a small tweak that had a disproportionately high impact on the product, considering the effort it required? A small tweak that turned into a big win?
Some of the smallest things that we've ever done, have actually made the biggest impact from a UI point of view. So we actually put a rating on our profile pages that actually showed people's review score in a different way, as a percent rather than as a 5-star. We still showed the star rating, but we changed that to a percent, and that people went crazy for that. They absolutely love that. That was probably one of our biggest tweaks, and one of our most interesting tweaks on the review collection side is we changed how people selected their actual rating. And that UX tweak absolutely put our conversion through the roof. It made, I think we got like 300% higher conversion just by how they were selecting the star ratings. So it was really interesting. We have a really, really strong UX UI team headed up. So when we started, we had like 3 or 4 original team members, and Don in our UX and UI team, he's just been a rock star since day one, and he came into the business as really a junior, and he's kind of grown with us all the way through, and he's such a fantastic and valued team member. We're really lucky to have him, really.
What do you think is the secret to sustainable product growth?
So we pretty much rely on our product. So we're product marketing led. So we market around our products. Probably the biggest sustainable thing is to get the foundation right. You've got to get this, put your core values down, and then just develop and then market from them. That's kind of what we've done. And it's been successful for us. And I think if more businesses got their core beliefs and foundations down on paper and communicated them to all members of staff clearly and all customers, and that goes through from development and then goes into our marketing. And we try and market in an ethical way. We don't try and be heavy on the sales techniques. We don't try and lock people into these contracts. And I think because we have that as our foundation, that we'd be, put the products before pound notes or dollars. And that's really been successful for us.
How did you realize that you had the foundation right? Did you need to pivot in the beginning, or it's always been a straightforward journey?
So there's a funny story around that. I wrote our foundation, our core rules, while at the cinema watching a children's movie with my two young children at the time. I was sitting there, it was like
Inspirational.
Ice Age 1, and I was really fed up with it. I was like, I'm going to do some work. So I got my phone out and I went onto the notes app on the phone, and I literally just wrote out our core values. And they were really simple. They were, 4 or 5 bullet points. And that kind of, the next day I printed them off and we tried to get them around the office. And it was really, we've kind of tried to stick to those as much as possible. And really, they sort of set the tone for the whole business. They set the tone for every employee. They set the tone for every product. And they set the tone on our marketing as well. So probably our biggest foundation is that we've got to keep moving. We're not a shark. As soon as we stop, we're going to die. We've got to keep swimming forward. And that's really been interesting. Development always wins. So if there's a product that we need to always be developing. Ethics before money. So that's really important to us. And, the reviewer always comes first. They were kind of our key ones.
Has your business model changed much since you started? The same.
We have gone more towards enterprise. We started off as SMB, but we have moved more upstream. We are winning a lot more enterprise clients. And probably the biggest bit of the business model for me that's changed is integrations. The more integrations now that we have has definitely helped evolve the business model. So before when we started, we had no integrations, and it was really just a send us your data, we collect the review. But now we're integrating with people's businesses much deeper through these integrations with Shopify, Salesforce, and so forth. So yeah, that'd be the biggest change, would be the integrations in the business plan.
Do you think this accelerated you a lot?
Yeah, massively. If we've been able to grow alongside the people who we're integrating with, instead of just swimming on our own. And it's kind of helped build an ecosystem almost. We get a lot of clients come to us and just ask for advice, say, hey, I know you do our reviews, but do you have anyone you can recommend who can do this as well? So we're integrating within not just our external integrations, but with our clients a little bit more.
You're an entirely bootstrap company. I have huge admirations for founders who manage to make it that far without any VC money. What's your advice to founders who want to follow your example and grow their company without any external funding? And is this actually doable in 2020?
I think more founders should follow it. I mean, it's really about confidence. Be confident in your products, be confident in your ability. And I think if you're confident in those, you don't really need a VC holding your hand. For far too long in the startup ecosystem, we've seen raising money as this, pat on the back, but it's really not. It's kind of, it's glamorized. Raising venture capital is glamorized really when it shouldn't be. And it's not good for a lot of companies. Yeah, it's great if you're Amazon and you need to scale and you're getting to this huge scale before you become profitable. But for a lot of tech startups, they give away far too much in those early years. And they give away far too much of the business. So if they can, I'd recommend everyone to stay bootstrapped for as long as possible. If you're doing a startup, you've got to be in it for look at it for at least 10, 15 years. Very few, you hear about the odd one that goes, we sold out after 6 months for 30 million. That's not common story. If you're going to do a startup, go into it expecting that you're going to be doing this for 15 years. And that's why it's important to pick a niche that you're passionate about, because it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, you get these stories on TechCrunch and all these other blogs where they talk about these companies raising huge sums of money and doing huge exits within a short period of time. They're an anomaly. They're not the norm. The norm is that you're in it for 15 years and it's a hard slog. You know, there's no easy way. Even if you're getting VC money does not make it easy. People see they all do these big celebrations. Yeah, we raised 50 million. Dude, that 50 million could put the fire out. Because now when you realize how much of the business you actually own and how much you're paying back to this VC company, you're going to be disinterested in the business. And we see a lot of that. A lot of founders actually lose their passion because of the investment they took.
What's the one metric, product or business metric, you usually start your day with? What is your North Star metric? Honestly, there must be one that's open.
So the first thing I do is look at our Slack channels, and I look at
what's in there.
So we look at a Slack channel, how many leads are coming in. So I look at that. That's kind of one metric that keeps the business going. That keep the clients keep the lights on, and it's something you've got to monitor and keep your eye on. The other metric that I probably look at straight away in the morning is what's the best content that's been created in each market. So Australia, when I wake up, I'll look at what video reviews have came in for the Australian market and what photos and what social proof has been created in that market. And then throughout the day, I'll keep looking at my Slack channels and I'll look at what videos are coming in and what social proofs being created by our clients. So probably that's my North Star, is content that's being created, not revenue. Revenue obviously we look at, and that is a really important metric, but it's not one I get up in the morning and go straight to. I'm more excited by what contents came in and what content's been created by our clients. As the co-founder, I kind of developed the roadmap for the product. So I'm interested on, can we do this better to improve the product? So I'm really product focused. And that's what I like doing. That's the bit of the business that I love. So focus on what you love, and I love the product.
And I think that's the best message to wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time, Callum. Wishing you all the best with Reviewsio.
Thank you. Thank you so much.